Hey everyone, welcome back. We are at the very start of the classical era with the Carthaginians, and we have just come up as the Phoenicians. Now in this run, if you haven't tuned in to the first episode, I'd recommend watching that, but also we are playing on 8 continents, which means every player has their own continent, and it really changes how you need to play the game. Now, we are going for kind of a merchant run, I suppose, merchant/growth with all the harbors, and we were lucky enough that Respect the Sea's Bounties was the very last tenet that was available. I have to say, I've gotten a fair amount of luck in this run, which isn't always true. Now, Respect the Sea's Bounties gives you +2 food on coastal water and +2 food on lakes, which really hypercharges the growth potential of harbors, and having been the Phoenicians and now being the Carthaginians, we really have a lot of potential to grow a lot of pops. So, this era we're going to be looking to get our third city online and potentially make a push onto another continent. We are researching trade expeditions right now so that we can embark some units and get them onto these other islands to claim them. But for now, okay, Hattusa, so they were the Hittites, and they're still the Hittites. So we got to watch out for them. However, they do not have a classical era emblematic unit, which means they can potentially be a really good candidate to pick on in this era. Because only Colossus is left, that sucks. But because they're the Hittites, they don't have a classical era emblematic unit. So in the classical era is basically the most important time for your emblematic units. It's when there's the biggest power difference between the generic and the emblematic units out of pretty much any era. So transcending into the classical era is very dangerous unless you're very far ahead. That'll work just fine. Let's buy that first Kothon. So we have a ton of growth, a ton of food. Get another obelisk soon, too. I don't think we need it yet. Maybe down here we're running a little low on stability. Now, we do need to start specializing soon, because otherwise we'll fall behind on our ability to produce things. That being said, I don't think stoneworks really benefits us that much. You will want a House of Scribes. And actually, I recall at the start, I had opened this already. We don't have religious tolerance yet, so we want religious hostility, which gives extra faith on territories and gives us grievances. And we haven't selected the army composition yet, so we want the +1 combat strength on units. And if you don't know by now, I mean, there is merit to selecting conscripts, which reduces the production cost of units. However, the main issue with conscripts is it moves you towards order, or authority, I should say, which really sucks as far as the bonuses. The vision range and detection range are just garbage, whereas the influence on emblematic districts is super useful and pretty much necessary if you ever want to get any Esthidera stars. So that's pretty much a preference 100% of the time. So definitely want to claim a territory here. We're going to go for one that takes not 16 turns to get online. Not sure if it's going to be possible to get over to their continents in this era. The thing is, although I can disembark, I can't cross open ocean yet. I'll have a turn, and they can only move 2 tiles a turn when they're embarked, unless you have like a lighthouse, which was already taken by the time I entered the era. So it may not be possible to invade anyone in the classical. I may have to wait. Let's move you back. Okay, definitely want these. They represent great locations to build Kothons because of all the land that's available around them. And in here, let's get that iron mine. And I think we start building a few market quarters in Sidon. Or Sidon, however it's said. I honestly don't know how to pronounce a lot of these cities. It's kind of a symptom of reading more than, watching things. You always have an idea of how it's said until you actually hear someone else say it. Okay. So Rec, good amount of influence in science out of that. Recs are actually really quite good if you can get scouts out into the ocean. What does this upgrade to? I can upgrade that to a bireme. I'm actually going to do that, because then I can explore more out this way with it. So this continent I'm not going to be able to get to with the technology in this era, right? Because I can only move 2 tiles in a transport. So I'd move like 1, 2, and then 1, 2, and I'd lose my units at sea. So there may not be any conflict until next era at the earliest. And if I don't manage to do that, let's see. Let's see if we can trade. They don't want it. Okay. And if I want to go to war with someone in the next era, I'll basically have to take the Norsemen so I can actually cross the sea. Or I will have to take the Umayyads in order to tech into the early modern. So I don't need to worry about any units at the moment. 19 food is a lot right there. And I do have some slots I can continue to fill out. I'm going to go for that, honestly. And then we'll hold off and see. I'd really like to get... I'm going to cancel Mounted Warfare and go into Philosophy. You can come back to Mounted Warfare later. I want to start getting my research quarters up. And I'll be looking to get my next city here. And I think this will be the city center. Yep. And we'll go ahead and attach my first territory here as well. There we go. Okay, so let's get the pottery workshop. Let's get the forge. Let's get not great production there. Now let's get our basic infrastructure first, and I'm going to use... I'm just going to buy that farmer's quarter. There's no reason not to. I'm going to use Byblos here to just build myself that obelisk. There we go. Help out Carthage a bit. Okay, and in here I am going to need some stability, so let's plop that in. I don't need all these farmers. Let's go on expert policy. I think I prioritize money over science in the city, and science over money here. Yep, which looks good. There we go. And you're gonna have to wait to found an outpost. Really too bad that Brown doesn't want to trade, because they're the only person I've met so far. I'm going to get another bireme maybe, just so I can explore out this way as well. Okay, let's found an outpost. Right there looks good. And that's going to give me a little boost to my influence because of Halong Bay. Gives me +5 influence and a little bit of extra money as well. So, nice little buff. Let's buy our Kothon here. Let's buy our Kothon here. Wow, really, those are some very nice Kothons, honestly. Can't wait to attach those. Gonna get an insane amount of growth out of that. Also really good combined with the Haudenosaunee. Because the Haudenosaunee give that extra little boost on tiles that are producing food. They get +1 food on all tiles that produce food. So if you can grab the Haudenosaunee in the early modern, that works really well. You can take the Mexicans, get +10% food. The Brazilians can be pretty good with it all as well because of the lab and their legacy trait. You get a lot of growth going, but you have to keep up on all the population jobs. I wouldn't recommend taking all of them. It's a little too heavy focus on growth. Let's grab hydrology for the aqueduct and the watermill and the artificial reservoirs. It plays nicely into our strategy, particularly given the number of rivers that are available to us. Okay, so we can finally build research quarters. I think I use this territory for research. I'm a little low on stability here. Okay, I can attach that safely, and I'm going to do that. And I do want the production slash industry slash whatever in those mountains. So I'm going to grab a maker's quarter there, and then I'm going to start on getting some science quarters, I think. Aha, another player. Let's introduce and see if you want to trade. Very nice. Oh, they have a die. So, okay. So one thing I'm going to have to be careful about, because they have die, is that if they beat me to the tech of manufactories and they're trading with me, they might be able to snatch the manufactory from me. So if I see them entering the early modern, I might cancel the agreement with them, just to make sure that I'm the one that gets the manufactory and they do not get it. Okay, I got another ship. That one's just going to die in the open ocean, so not really a lot of value out of that. Okay, there's my fountain. Let's see. Continue. See, we don't really need growth yet. We're kind of at our cap, more or less, for how many people we actually need in this city. So no point in getting that extra growth yet. Pick up a watermill in here as well. I'm going to finish that public fountain by buying it out. Okay. And you all are just staying idle. Alright, well, I'm pretty much going to lose this bireme. Kind of pointless to send it back here, really. Just going to let it die, just get a little exploration done. Kind of the same thing there. This guy's going to die no matter where I go, so let's... 50 influence and 40 science. It's alright. Nice little bonus here too, hopefully. There we go, 80 gold. Okay. So animal barns are almost done in here. I'm going to just buy that so I can move off of food. Flood irrigation coming up. Definitely going to want a fishery in here. We also are going to want the public fountain because we need to attach more territories. And now, mounted warfare we can continue to put off. Not important yet. We're not really going to war with anyone. And even though I'm the Carthaginians, I honestly may end up skipping it. So this seems a little better. Does this... It doesn't actually work any tiles that are going to be worked by other harbors, so right there works just fine. Let's go ahead and pick that up there. And continue to explore out this way. See if I can find anything. Everyone's really far away from me. Normally when I play this game, or this style of game, there's usually at least one other person that you can attack early on, just with trade expeditions, but that doesn't seem to be the case in this particular run. Let's see. Yeah, keep moving. I'm going to ignore that. I value exploration a little bit more, particularly since I'm going to lose this guy. Okay, so there's an independent people there. Alright. So we're going to have a very passive game at the start. Okay, let's put you on money since we are a merchant culture. What is the scout doing? I can disband. And you go there. And I'm going to go ahead and disband that and just make him be a farmer. Okay, 0 food. Perfect. Oh, the Greeks, hello. Okay, so pearls, yes, I want those. Tea's not as important. Coffee is not important. We do want the papyrus, and we do want the incense. Now, tea gets better the later in the game you go, and that's true of any luxury resource that provides a % bonus to your outputs. We do get a lot of food, so we are going to want the tea at some point. It's just the other luxuries took priority over the tea. But basically anything that provides a percentage bonus is better later in the game, right? Because you have higher base amounts of outputs, and anything that provides a flat bonus is better earlier in the game. Okay, there's a Merchant Era star. Not too bad on the stars. Definitely not going to be getting a militarist star this era. I will have enough territories to get all the expansionist stars once I attach one more, so that's not looking too bad. Science star is definitely doable. I'm a little worried about getting all the merchant stars. Thankfully, I am building some merchant quarters here. 16 food there, it's not too bad. And remind me later. But I don't mind if I lose a pop in here, it's not that big of a deal. There's an agrarian star. Alright, Carthage. What does Carthage need to be doing for me? I think I need 2 science cities, so we'll expand up there. And that's going to absolutely trash my food. Let's get artificial reservoirs. And honestly, maybe I attach right here as well. Provides a lot of extra food, but also more population. Minus 16 from overpopulation. Yeah, I'm going to lose pops in here. It's really not that big of a deal. But I think I need to focus on science in here. But probably more in this area. This is a good area for industry if I need it, or if I go like the Dutch and need to use VOC warehouses. So I'm going to keep that area open. And then over here, we're also going to start picking up some science. Yeah, we'll grab that one for now. Then we'll probably come down. I think we might come down this way and fill out that area with science quarters. Non-aggression pact. There's really no reason to need a non-aggression pact, so I'm going to avoid any sort of weird diplomatic penalties and that kind of stuff from breaking pacts later. Because I'll definitely declare war on pretty much everyone at some point, because it's kind of my style. Okay, let's stop losing population in this city, please. Thank you. Okay, so let's pick up some tea, and that's going to help our food output a fair bit. Yeah, positive food here, only minus 15 here now, 36 here, that's pretty solid. And I'm just going to buy all these. There's really no point at sitting on gold when you have gold to spend. Just use it basically as early as possible. There is a little bit of nuance to that because, you know, the more gold you spend, the more the cost is inflated for future items. But in general, the earlier you do things, the better. Yeah, I don't need coffee. Alright, second tier of tenant is available. Give alms would be very nice for sure, and that applies on my havens that I have from the previous era as well. Plus 5 food on harbor. I mean, it would give me some okay growth, but honestly, it's worse than Respect the Seas bounties. I'm going to go for Give Alms. It's much better than pretty much everything else that's still available. This Give Alms and Bear Not False Witness are easily the best tenets of this tier. You just get way more output out of that than pretty much anything else. Okay, so I am having a little bit of religion problem. So let's get another holy site online, even though I don't really need it yet in terms of stability. But I do need it in terms of ensuring my religion stays stable. Let's take a look at our stars. Definitely want to get all our merchant stars, if at all possible. And I still don't really need that extra growth. So you can see how much that that tenet helps with your gold income. It's really nice, and it applies to the havens as well, and I think the Kothons too. Yeah, because the Kothons are market quarters, so really nice boost to my income. And over here, let's pick up Artisan Workshop. We've kind of run out of food, so let's pick up Artificial Reservoirs as well. Take a look at our tech. 1 turn from Imperial Power. Really have no use for mounted warfare, despite war elephants being unlocked there. Now, if we go into the next era as the Norsemen, we might have some use for war elephants, because the Norsemen don't really get a unique unit that they can use on the land. Let's see. Yeah, I think the Norsemen probably make the most sense in this game, given the direction I've gone in. I could go for the Ghanaians, and something, thankfully, that has changed because of how the AI prioritize, going up in cultures now, is that the Ghanaians are available much more frequently than they used to be, because the AI aren't grabbing them at, like, turn 45, So, it is a possibility. I'll have to think about it. It depends how passively I want to play. I'd really like to go after Brown. Unless they take the Mongols, then I really don't want to go after Brown, because fighting the Mongols kind of sucks. The Mongols are kind of made for the AI, to be honest. They're pretty crap for the player, but they're great for the AI. Okay. I could also, let's see. Okay, Umayyads were the first ones taken. It's a little worrisome. Hopefully they don't get into manufactory super quick and yoink my dye manufactory. That would suck a lot. How much? Let's see. I need another, like, 3.5k. So that's, what, 7-ish turns on my gold? I can definitely get the scientist stars, too. I think it's worth waiting. And I do have all my expansionist stars, right? Yeah, so I don't really need to attach these other territories yet. I can hold off on that. Get that extra science. And what else do we need in here? Definitely going to need these infrastructure. Want a theater, too, for that extra influence output. If there's even a chance that helps me continue to get Esthidera stars, I'm going to continue to grab those. Carthage sitting at a really healthy 21 population, which is quite incredible on turn 80, really. When you have a lot of coastline like this, like the Phoenician Carthage combo can be very strong, particularly if you get Respect the Seas bounties. Okay, so we're going to prep to, go into the next era of culture, of tech, rather than back-teching to these other things. We don't really need those. Need 2 turns for my gold and 2 turns on my tech, and then I can era up. The thing about 8 continents when you wind up on a sort of map like this is that the game goes faster, right? Because you're not involved in battles. You don't have to think about like your military units and all that. You're really just building districts and infrastructure. Okay. Celts went up with the Mongols. Okay. It's not a big deal. Have they picked yet? They're still the Hittites. The thing is, in the medieval, war elephants become a lot less useful because of the existence of pikemen. That's kind of a big issue for me. We're going to pick them up anyway, in case I do want to build them. And I need to dump a turn of research into something. Those agrarian stars, not going to happen. Aesthete stars, a little too far away for my liking, and militarist stars, not going to happen. So, let's think about who we want. Byzantines, yeah, I mean, I don't have the horses for it. Franks, not really my jam here. The Ghanaians, I do have a decent number of trade routes. I could get, quite a bit of gold out of this. I think the Ghanaians are in contention. The Teutons, yeah, I mean, I'm not doing great on religion, honestly, because of the presence of some other wonders that are influencing me. And, the trade routes coming in and all that kind of stuff. So, I think the Teutons are kind of not really a viable option here. The Khmer could honestly be fairly good. I do have a fair amount of rivers that the Barre would benefit from, but I don't feel like I'm really struggling on industry. I have a pretty healthy amount of industry in all my cities at the moment. The English are honestly, like, good. I value the English pretty highly at this point. And then obviously the Norsemen. I think the Norsemen are they just make too much sense in this sort of game mode, particularly with this +3 naval movement and +2 combat strength on naval units and the longship. I'm going to take the Norsemen. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to save in case I change my mind and come back to re-record and justify picking someone else, because I do that sometimes as soon as I get to the next turn. But we're going to take the Norsemen and go on to turn 85. Show the Unclaimed Wonders here. Okay. So normally I would value Forbidden City more, but I'm actually going to take Notre Dame. Specifically because I need that extra faith to kind of preserve my religious competitiveness and ensure I can continue to get higher tiers of tenets. And I'm going to slap down some Nos. Okay, those two are good enough for now. And then we'll end the episode at the end of this turn. That's a really nice one right there. I'm sure that works. We'll just build the one in there for now. That's nice right there. And sure. And let's see. Where was I building this other one? Can't really tell. Hold on, let me go back. Okay, it was right there. All right. Then kind of wherever down here, it doesn't matter that much. So if I'm building one like right in there, it's going to end up working some of the same tiles. I think that's kind of unavoidable though. We'll buy one out right there. Seems okay to me. And as far as tech goes, obviously we want Seafaring Mastery very early to get the longships. And then we really need to get military tech because we want to attack other people and really start ramping up the number of cities that we have access to. Likely going to be the Hittites since they're the closest, though there are some like independent people over there, and we'll need to discover them. Once we get a couple of these Nos online, it'll also be time to start building some military units that we can send abroad. I wanted to get some of these guys in position to do just that as well, to explore. So there we go, end of the turn. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back in the next episode with the Norsemen for the medieval era.